Hello, my lovely pursuers. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. I am your lovely, and very happy today podcast host, Noz Kazimi. Today we have a Dear Noz segment. So it's the one where it's like Dear Abby, but it's Dear Noz. And I will be answering some pursuer questions. So without further ado, I planned that out in my head to say it's so nice, and then it ends up coming out so ugly. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. So this first question I saw, I was like, this is so fitting. So I'm going to make it the first question, okay? It says, my best friend started dating my ex. What now? Well, first of all, I want to say, have you seen all the headlines of all the Bravo shows right now? It seems like the theme, and almost to a year, because wasn't Scandal, well, not to a year, but almost to the same month, 3 years ago, I want to say, when Scandal broke, and now we have Scamanda, as they're calling it. This seems to be the common theme. And I have talked about this so many times in podcasts, and it overlaps with some of the themes that I see in reality TV. And I'm going to digress a little bit before I get back to the point. We all know why I love reality TV so much. It's because it's just this reality, quote unquote, so to speak, of the way that people act and how their lives are. And I remember when I was in my 20s, and I would say up until my mid-20s, I was that type of person coming out of high school. I had my agendas. It was like 4:30 to 5:30, hang out with this person. 5:30 to 4:30, or 5:30 to 6:30, go have dinner with this person. I was just consistently trying to do things. And even though I had my ADHD then and whatnot, and I knew people's first names and last names and who they were dating, and part of it was because in high school I wasn't really popular. And eventually, as I got older, past my mid-20s, some incidents happened where I was working at jobs, and I realized that people that call themselves your friends aren't really friends, and people are fake. And this is kind of the connotation that I always had. Like growing up, people would be like, for example, oh my God, you're going to get so fucked up, alcohol, oh my God, wait till you start drinking, it's so much fun. Then when I drank, I'm like, this isn't really that fun. In fact, I don't like it. I don't like feeling this way. I don't know how people can like it. Of course, my drug of choice ended up being something a lot harder, such as cocaine, and it was an upper. But what I'm trying to say is, even with cocaine, and I'm really digressing here, but I'm going to get back to the point. I'm just saying, I wasn't really into it as a party drug. I didn't need it to talk to people or to have fun. I loved it because it kept me skinny. And then I realized that because I obsessed so much about my weight, I needed it. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, after my mid-20s, everything that people had told me, I realized it's not as fun as people make it out to be. I go into these situations, and this may be where the autism comes in. I take everything so literally. Hey, let's hang out next week. I'm waiting next week for that person to call. If they don't call, I message them. People are like, whoa. And then people would tell me, whoa, relax. Calm down, give them a while. I'm like, but they said next week. I would take things literally. And so I have never been in situations to the extent that I see on these shows like Real Housewives, et cetera, et cetera. And that goes into my next thing. And I had digressed, but I'm going back to the point. I've said so many times that I'm Persian by blood, and I've grown up in a very white-dominated culture since I was 4 years old, and my English was my first language, even back home in Iran when I lived until I was 4. Some parts of the culture that I take with me, it could just be my value system, or it could be culturally, and although this has happened in Persian culture, it's not like it never happens, but if we date a guy, if our brothers date a girl and we are done with that person becomes off limits. There's no, let's go try to hook up with that person. Let's go see what that person is doing. There's situations in that where perhaps 10, 15 years later, when the group falls apart or certain people are no longer close, sure, an ex might pop up and other people might be dating, but that usually never lasts long. I've never seen a situation when I had really big groups of people where people would not date and then fall apart. Now, when it comes to me personally, it's never happened, but I've had friends that I've been friends with that I've hooked up with other friends, and by hooked up, getting them to, hey, let's all hang out together. And then I've been left out of those relationships because they assumed that perhaps I didn't want to do the things that they want to do, or they just didn't feel the need to ask me, even though I was like the matchmaker for friendships. And I matched some people together romantically, but that's besides the point. It's just, even in a friendship dynamic where someone's hanging out with an ex-friend of mine or someone that I'm currently friends with, but they leave me out, I feel a certain kind of way. And I wouldn't say it's jealousy, but I'm not jealous of people. Trust me on that. I'm living in Mexico and they're going to shows together back home. So I'm not jealous. But what I can say is as a human being, and this might be part of the reason that I just keep my distance from people anyways, because people are so fake in this world and you just never know where they lie, is like, it's always nice to feel like you belong to something. It's always nice to know that people will remember you and remember to invite you to something. So although I might have like some sort of like reservations going into relationships with people because I'm like, this person's going to behave this way, this person's going to behave that way. At the end of the day, you just hope that they know you well enough to know like this is the type of person. Noz is really sensitive when it comes. She was bullied during high school and whatnot. She was left out of a lot of things. Even when I became really, really pretty, like people wouldn't want to take photos with me. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why does no one want me in their photos? It's always nice to just feel included. And so that might be a reason why I keep people at bay, because like, well, if I keep them at bay, then I don't give them a chance to disclude me or disinvite me from things, because every group that I've been a part of has done something like that to me. Not invited me to all the events, disincluded me. And I'm very like nice and very respectful around my friends' boyfriends. If I know that my friends' men are coming around, I don't bend over in front of them. I wear really modest clothing in front of them. It's just how I am, because I know what it's like. If I bring my man around, I would want them to do the same thing. So let's go back to the question. I might be the wrong person to ask about this because I have very strong feelings about this, but I would say the first thing would be, well, how long ago was this ex your ex? Like, if it was like your recent last ex and you guys have broken up within the past year, that's fucked up. And I would cut both of them off because that's not a friend. And sometimes people have been friends for 20 years and then this happens. And it's like, you are willing to throw away that 20-year friendship to date somebody that I now call an ex. Okay? So it's different for everybody. But first I would say, let's look at the time. Let's be realistic and like analytical here. Let's look at the timeline. Like if this was your 10th ex, so like it's been over 5 years that you dated the person, cool. But then that leads into my next question. So now the ex is out of the picture, whatever, bag of shit or not. I would say the beef would be obviously with your friend. But then so many more questions pop up in my head. Were they eyeing each other out when we were dating? Hopefully, like at this point, you've moved on to another healthy relationship so that you're not, or you've completely moved on from the fact that this ex of yours is now an ex, because so many things would be going through my mind. Like I would replay every fucking motion and be like, okay, great. So were they together? When did they start developing feelings together? So after I broke up with this person, my friend has still been talking to them. Like I would demand some sort of an explanation. I just would. That's who I am. It's the way that my autistic brain, neurodivergent brain works. I need answers. I need to know why, and how. Like I have to break it down. And I feel like a friend of yours that, first of all, it's a shitty situation to be in, but any friend is willing to answer all those questions for you just so that, because they still want you part of their life and they still don't want it to be weird when they're around their partner, their now partner, who just happens to be an ex of yours. If at that point they don't want to answer questions, or they say, well, it's none of your fucking business, like you guys broke up, blah, blah, that's when I would just walk away from that friendship in total, because you're right, it is none of my business, but we're friends and we tell each other everything. And I feel like if you lay your cards out on the table from the beginning, then there's no need to really hide stuff. And then if you lay out your cards from the beginning, I won't turn into a Sally where I get really sour faced and this shitty attitude every time you bring up that person, because you've already told me everything. And then at that point, you either support that relationship or you don't, and you can be honest with your friend and be like, look, thank you for telling me, but like, I have to draw a line in the sand here because I want boundaries. And it has nothing to do with the person that's my ex. It's, in fact, a boundary with you because I'm kind of like teeter-tottering on the fact that you are my friend and this was happening and I had no idea. Like, I have so many questions about this because context matters in this situation. Like, did you not know? Did you know? Like, how long it's the ex? Like, so many factors can play into it. In general, exes should be off limits. And if we've moved on, there's a reason that that person's not with me, or nor do I find that person good enough to be with me. But sometimes I can see it happening if people are still part of the same social circles. And I've seen many instances where there's a group of friends and they've all it's been like incestuous and they've all dated each other. But then in the end, they all get married to their partner and they're still great friends and they maintain it. So it's so individually based, this question. But in general, just a friend of yours dating an ex of yours, I don't know. For me, that's fucked up. Again, so many more questions around it. It's the general answer would be that's fucked up. Like, how the fuck did that happen? But again, some people don't care. They're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, he's a good guy. It just didn't work for us. Our chemistries didn't match. And then, with that being said, like, that's also how the individual is. I think any good friend of mine would know that, because I'm so picky about who are my good friends, would know how I am going to be like with an ex. Either it's completely moved on or not. And if not, I would tell them because I'm comfortable enough to tell my good friends this. And you would think that they wouldn't. But again, and it's not an ex, but I was in a situation where I introduced two friends together and then they started to ice me out of things, thinking that, oh, well, she's just not into stuff like that. And they're right, I'm not into the stuff that they're into. Not all of it anyways. And for me, like, I would rather spend my money on an extra gym membership, to be honest, and be in the gym, than to kind of like go to these shows and spend my Friday. Plus, I'm a mom. Like, I don't want to be away from my kid to go to a stupid show that I have no, like, I have no investment in, right? And sometimes I think about, okay, well, when she's older, am I going to want to? No, I'd rather save my fucking money and travel on the weekends or go away in my car. And I'm just like that, right? So I can't get mad that they decided after a certain while to stop inviting me. But at the same time, like, the facts are the facts. I started to get iced out. And that hurt me, So I can just imagine someone that I've been intimate with. And, I mean, I think I keep bringing this up. It's 10 times worse if you're blindsided by it. And again, like, look at all the news that's going on in Bravo. Like, and it seems like these are all people in situations where they have been blindsided. But it's like, when is it appropriate to tell someone, hey, I'm dating someone that you've dated before, especially if it was someone that you just had recently dated and now not dating anymore, or perhaps could potentially still have feelings for. On the other end of it, I know that you can't really help who you fall in love with and who you care for, but you can control the timing of everything. And I've had crushes on my friends' exes or family members, and to this day no one knows. I'm not even friends with those people anymore. And eventually the feelings pass and I'm like, thank God I dodged a bullet there, because now you see who they're with and you're like, geez, in their lives, and you're like, that was not the life that I had wanted anyway. So God really, like, looked out for me at that point. But it is a shitty feeling. And although you're not dating that person anymore, that the other party involved is still your friend. And I believe that you deserve answers. And if you ask a question and it's becomes combative, like, why are you asking me this? It's none of your business. I think that person's not your friend in the first place, because I think as friends, even in a situation like this, you want to make sure that the person that's hurt is okay. Because if you have nothing to hide, you don't mind answering all the questions for your friend, because you genuinely know that the intention was never to hurt your friend. It's just the feelings developed. You know what I mean? Again, every situation is so individual and so subjective, but that's where I stand on that. And I just think there's so many men out there. There's so many fucking countries out there, like, I say this with the whole Southern Charm thing, and I'm tying it back to reality TV. Like, I get it. Like, Vancouver's 6 degrees of separation. And that's why I moved out of Vancouver, because I didn't want to date anybody that knew someone that I know. It's just gross. Like, that means that I pretty much slept with that person and everybody else that they've slept with or dated, and there's a reason, and I'm also a little bit like ego, you could say, like I'm prideful. Like I don't want them to be like, oh, so Noz ended up with that person. Like my man is going to be someone that no one's touched out of the people that I know, obviously. I mean, obviously he has a history himself, but it's not going to be from the same pool of people that I know. And I feel really strongly about that, or else I would have already been married like 10 times. So yeah, I think that without making it about other people, and let's just get down to you, like you're entitled to your feelings about it, because initially it's probably going to be a bit of a shock, again, depending on how long the relationship lasted and how long ago they were your ex. And it will feel like a little bit of a betrayal, again, depending on all these factors, because you're like, I didn't even know that my friend and him still chat, or her chatted, and I think all those feelings are valid. And then I would laugh and be like, well, at least that person's dating them and not me. Like I really dodged a bullet there, because there's a reason that you guys aren't together. And then just realize that there's way more men out there, way more women out there. Like you're just not, the fact that people like will date within the same incestuous pool of people that they know is just beyond. And that's when you're really like, okay, I'm going to expand my horizons here, But is it shitty? Absolutely. And if you have feelings around it and you have questions, don't push it away just to make them feel good, because I feel like that's when the resentments will come. And even though you make it through them telling you, I think eventually like the friendship will decay due to the fact that you felt kind of blindsided by it. So is it shitty? Absolutely. But don't dismiss your feelings. You're entitled to them. And if you guys are really good friends, then eventually this will work itself out, right? So that's the best advice that I can give. And sorry it was long-winded, but I kind of hate those things, where you don't fucking know, and then all of a sudden next thing you know you're like blindsided and you're like, what the hell? And then it would be a completely different situation if throughout all this they're like, hey, so me and so started chatting randomly. Like, isn't that kind of weird? At least like you're kind of along for the ride, but then like this is one of your good friends, and this entire time this has started, you had no idea. That's just so weird to me. Like that is the biggest form of betrayal in all of this, and I can't do it. Anyways, moving right along. Okay, here's one. Should I get closure or just move on? This ties in with everything that's going on with all the Bravo stuff as well. When I was younger, sorry guys, my dog's barking here. When I was younger, I was the type of person I wanted closure. And I think the way that my neurodivergent brain works, I always want to know why. And I think that's part of the reason why I finally decided I'm going to go into tech. I like to break down how things work. And that includes the mind and how people think and why they chose the outcome that they chose. Hence why I'm so self-aware, and I always tune into myself too, like why I do things that I do. And obviously this doesn't happen immediately when you make a decision or a choice. Like it could come years later, months later, where you are able to kind of like break it down and figure out why you did what you did. But closure is such a personal thing for every single person. It differs. And some people don't need closure. They just need the person to leave them alone. And some people kind of need to understand why, like what happened that created the dynamic that it's in now, which is why you're demanding the closure. And before, I used to put so much power into other people and making sure that they provided for me the things that I wanted. So kind of like the question that I had just answered about people dating the ex, like, or your friend dating the ex, like you do have a lot of questions, but I feel like in a friendship, like you're owed answers, because that's how a friendship works. Like, it's a two-way street and it's very open. And of course, some friends will have boundaries around certain things, but when it's something like that, like, your questions are valid, even though it might not get answered. But then again, I also ended that question with saying, like, if you don't get the answers that you want, just be happy that that's a bullet that you dodged for both of them, the friend and the ex. But moving right along, I used to put so much power in people, especially when relationships end, for me to get a reason why. And part of it is because for me, it didn't have to end always in a war. Like, I just kind of wanted to, like, evaluate, kind of like, when you, like, closing arguments, or when you leave a job and you have to kind of give your performance, like, review as, like, an employee before you, like, are officially resigned. And it was always more like a tool to kind of see what went wrong and why, and what I could do for next time, just because it bothers me so much that I just have to understand it. But that's the power that I would give to other people. And then as I grew up and I got older, I realized that so many adults are actually just little kids in adult bodies that have traumas that are unresolved. So them walking away with something, which I myself have done, or ghosting. I'm not saying that I'm innocent in this. I'm just saying, I'm providing feedback as, like, from a point of view where I demanded closure, and from a point of view where I couldn't give closure. It was a lot of, like, unhealed trauma, So a lot of adults that I see that still kind of, like, behave like children. It's like, or in some aspects, like some certain things that they do. For example, when it comes to business, I used to just quit jobs and leave at a certain point in my life. Like, I didn't even want that kind of closure, and I just didn't want to have to explain why I wanted to leave. I just didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want to have to do my 2 weeks, and that's so shitty. And I'm pretty sure some of my bosses didn't do it to a lot of jobs. In fact, I think most jobs I did resign, but there was a couple where I just stopped showing up, and that's just, like, a shitty way to be. And if those employers ever remember me, they're going to remember that 20-something-year-old version of me that just didn't want to accept responsibility. So I guess that's what it is. Like, I just didn't have the balls to really be forthcoming and honest and say that this is something that I didn't want anymore. And I don't know why I didn't have the balls, because I would admire people at that time that had the balls to just kind of say what they were thinking. I think a lot of it is people pleasing. I just didn't want to hurt people's feelings. So I felt like if I just ghosted, it was just easier for me than to really feel responsible for how that other person was feeling. And then I think eventually, as I got older and people demanded closure from me for certain things, I was able to give it a lot more forthcoming, because I realized that there's a reason for my feeling or reaction or action, and I don't mind giving that answer. But then there were times when I demanded closure and I never got it, and it just drove me crazy. And for a long time, I thought it had to do with me. I thought that I was the reason for that, until, again, I grew up and I realized that it's just a lot of people's own traumas and how they deal with a stressful situation like that. And so I took the power back, and instead of demanding people give me answers, I just would do closure for myself. I'm like, this person is obviously incapable of even answering a question, let alone providing the closure that I need. So just like I answered the last question, like, I dodged a bullet. Thank God. Because imagine spending 10, 15 years with this person, and then in the end they ghost. And it happens. Look at all these divorces. I mean, people are happily married until they're not. And it's like, and then do you see them in the divorce? It's like they don't even recognize the person that's in front of them. And that's the way it is when relationships end. I've seen so many people quit their jobs, and towards the end, all of a sudden they're bitching about their bosses, when for fucking 20 years they loved their boss, and they fucking went out and they drank with their boss, and it was the best fucking time of their life, and that was the best job, until they quit and they find another job. Then it's the fucking shittiest boss. He does this. He fucking never did this. He was always fucking... You know what I mean? Like, when it... getting close to the end of any type of relationship, or when it's, at that point, like, I think it's a coping mechanism for people to feel better about why they made the decision that they made to make the other person look like the bad guy, or like the other person wasn't innocent either, you know? I felt like a lot of that came from when I was growing up. There was a lot of domestic violence in my home and just a lot of abuse. And so everything kind of ended in warfare. And I saw a lot of conflict in my home, but I never saw resolution. I never saw people kind of like work through things. And this is something that I want to work on. Like now that I'm in my 40s, it's like I either avoid people completely because you curate your life to a certain way. And I think people are like, well, the real world is like this, but the real world is not really like that. Like the real world is what you make of it. Like you're going to surround yourself with people that are either yes people or people that, you know, are not going to be fucking shitting on you 24/7. And if you still find yourself in those toxic situations, I think it's because you just don't realize that you deserve better. Like you haven't found your self-worth yet, right? And so in my real life, I surround myself with people that I know that if shit went down, like we could have an honest conversation about it. And if not, then I can pick up the warning signs and I just keep my distance. And those are not friendships or long-term arrangements that I want to enter from the beginning, because I can just tell by the way that, you know, they behave, or when I tell them no, how their reaction is so like, it just doesn't fit their reaction doesn't fit the action of saying no. You know what I mean? Like, so back to the closure, I took that power back and I don't really expect it much of other people anymore. So if you're not getting the closure that you want, which is like a question answered or a reason why, then take your power back and say, fuck that. I don't even need you to tell me anything. I just got my closure by you not answering the question, or you not being forthcoming, or you just walking away and not really providing any clarification on why. And people have their own traumas, and sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It's not like they're like, well, fuck her, I don't need to tell her shit. It has to do with like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this right now, because it's something within them. And I think that's the biggest closure that I could receive. It's just seeing how people deal with that and realizing that that person at one point was part of my life. Thank God they're no longer, because look at the way they act in tough, stressful situations. And I can't be around people that react to stressful situations that way. I need to be around people that are a lot more level-headed. And, you know, everyone has their own individual reaction to certain things, and that's what makes everyone individual. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, when you require, like, your mind to kind of enlighten and awaken and be a little bit more on top of it than not, I need to surround myself by those people, because those are the healthy people that are able to work through conflict and, you know, discuss their feelings and want to kind of get to a better place rather than sweep things under the rug. Those are the people that I want to surround myself with. So sometimes it's a blessing in disguise when you don't receive closure, because that not receiving closure is the closure that you were perhaps looking for. It kind of just gives you that that finality that, like, you know what, I cannot get back to this person, because I cannot keep going through phases where they ghost and they don't want to talk about their feelings and they come back and act as if nothing's happened. Like, no, you are going to set up boundaries. You have a lot more self-respect for yourself. And in layman's terms, that type of shit don't really fly with you, you know? So, yeah. You can always ask for closure, but if you don't get closure, time to just move on. And that should be closure enough. Not getting closure is closure enough that, like, this is not the type of people that you want to really be surrounded with, you know? Let's get into... here's a good one. Is it wrong to want luxury and success after struggling for so long? Absolutely not. Why would that be wrong? I think that that's kind of like the vision, the end vision. Like, you want to get to a place where, you know, you want luxurious things. And luxury doesn't always mean name brands, you guys. Like, I used to be, like, I love luxury. If you saw my apartment right now, you wouldn't think so. But I also know that they're stepping stones to get there, you know? And sometimes you might have all the money in the world. So when it comes to, like, objects and things, you're going to have the luxury things. But I'm also so proud of myself that, like, when I look at success, like, I love my mindset, and I love that I'm so positive and, like, I don't really dwell in depressive states for too long. It's not me. And when I am there, I recognize it and I'm like, why am I being like this? Like, this is not who I am. I can recognize it so quickly. And I think that the biggest luxury that I've ever received and the biggest thing that's made me feel so successful is my mindset. And that's why I'm building a brand around who I am and my mindset and my experiences. And I just want to be able to help other people and to show them that, like, being emotionally intelligent is a far more richer currency than any brand name of any item that you can always buy. Now, with that being said, do I want to have money and be financially secure? Absolutely. But I'm also the type of person that I'm willing to take risks to get to that spot, because I feel like this brain that I have is destined for great things. I'm not just going to keep it in a space where I'm content. I want to share how great my brain is with other people. And I'm no genius, but I have been through some fucked up shit in my life and I've come out of it and I'm still positive and I'm still alive and I'm still got the yearn for something that's greater, like I don't think I'll ever stop it. That is a quality about myself that I love, because I look at people that just settle, whether it's for relationships or a life that they are comfortable with, or shitty people, shitty environments. And I'm like, I cannot be that person, because from a very young age, I've known that I deserve the best and I obviously want the best. Have I struggled getting there? Absolutely. For me, the path was a lot more dynamic and windy than a lot of people. I didn't have the mentors and the people to look up to or a family that was necessarily supportive of some of my decisions to kind of guide me. But with that being said, like, I'm not a victim either. I'm actually so proud that I have the brain that I have, and I don't really regret anything in life. Like, some situations that I was in, I regret, but I feel like everything in my life brought me to a point that I could be a mother and have a child, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Like, I wouldn't change anything of that. And then everything after having a kid led me to a point where I was able to move out of the country for 6 months and really kind of like get to a point. Again, see, I'm always constantly learning and wanting to evolve and become better and to learn myself. And I love that I'm able to spend time alone and not think of it as, instead of when I'm alone, I'm not thinking about, I wish I was with other people. I'm thinking about, okay, how can I be productive in this space, And sometimes not. Prior to going home in February, like to visit family in Canada, I was just so dysregulated. My hair was falling out. My nervous system was out of whack. I was constantly eating. And then going home, sometimes you need that back and forth in a period of time. Like, sure, so I was in Canada and then I came to Mexico in October, and then we weren't even going to go home. Like, it was like our finances almost didn't allow us to go back home because we wanted to go back home because there was a wedding. And as you know, the war in Iran, and my little cousin had died. And then shortly after, my other uncle died, so it was kind of like, let's go be with family. Like, the timing couldn't have been better. And then we were only supposed to be there for a month, but we extended our trip for 2 months. But that 2 months, so much happened. And then I was like, okay, great. So now this is a new trajectory of our life. And then we flew back to Mexico, and it's like now even more things have enlightened me. And I'm like, this is why it's so important for people to travel. To constantly go back and forth to what is familiar to you and what is out of your comfort zone, because that's where the growth happens. And that's where you are awakened to things that you never thought possible, and opportunities come to you when you least expect, because you're just living, and it's something to look forward to. Like, even now, like, I'm planning trips that I want to take probably next year with my daughter. So it's a lot more like planning. And even now that we're back in Mexico, I haven't called my family once and asked for help with money. Like, we're just a lot bit, you just learn. It's all learning. And I think I've said this before, like, sapiosexual. Like, I joke about that term. Like, I'm not like really, like, maybe, depends, also aesthetics play a little part, but I'm very intrigued and very attracted, and maybe not sexually attracted, but very attracted to people that are so smart, because I love to learn. And the best teachers are other people, especially other people that have gone through things that you potentially might want, or and that's why I'm really gravitated to people that are so smart, or entrepreneurs, and how they started with nothing and moved here with 5 cents in their pocket, and those type of people I'm so attracted to, because it's just, they can teach you things and they point out things that you would have never learned from a textbook, or perhaps being in a group of people that haven't experienced that, right? So I love to learn, and I wasn't like this. I think I always okay, so before, my mindset was I just like to understand why, if people treated me a certain way, why? If a situation turned out in a certain way that I kind of didn't anticipate, how did it turn out that way? But me understanding the why is also, you're learning. It's something to learn. And so I realized that I actually love being a student, and hence why I love the gym. Like, I just constantly love going, and I love being in a gym where it's bodybuilders, and not because I think that I'm a bodybuilder to that sense, like I'm not competing or anything, but like, these are people that are consistently disciplined, consistently in the gym, don't fall off the wagon as often as perhaps I do. And it's just something to look up to. But if I'm in a gym where I'm the most jacked, and, people are looking up to me to be the most consistent, which I'm sure I do, and I've been told that before, and I appreciate that, but then I'm gonna not really strive for better. Like, I love being the dumbest in the room. I want to be the person in the room that no one's paying attention to, because I want to see how I want to learn from the others that are in the room. Now, naturally, I'm just how I am energy-wise and looks-wise. I do attract a lot of people when I walk into rooms, but I don't know if I'm ever going to look at myself as that person that people go up to learn things, although sometimes I'm chatting with my friends, they're like, you need to write a book, man. You need to do some motivational speaking. And because I feel like I'm always a student. I'm never always, I will still teach people. That's the whole point of my brand and the podcast and the pursuit of happiness, is because we're always on this pursuit and it never fucking ends. But I'm always in the mindset of, I want to just always be learning as well. I never want that to stop. As long as I'm alive on this earth, I never want to get to a point where I say, like, I'm done learning. I'm just going to sit here. Even when I'm here in Mexico, and I want to be here because it's a more laid back pace of life, and I'm still constantly doing things on my computer and updating my work ethic and my website and my podcast, and just figuring out how I can clean and how I can do with this and what we're going to do when I go back and I take down notes. It's because my brain is always productive that way. So, and that's another thing. I'm so proud of the way that I've handled my ADHD, and like, I was on medication for a while, and then I wasn't, and then I went back on it, and then I realized that, okay, I don't want to be on it. Like, sometimes you have to like step away from things and take a break from things. Even me at the gym, taking all these breaks and going back, like, every single time I take a break, I don't go back not having learned something, or else what a waste of life. And this is what I try to teach my daughter. Like, every failure, and sometimes failure fucking sucks, and you just want to like be like, fuck this, you know what I mean? But at the end of all of that struggle, there's just such a wonderful rainbow waiting for you. And that's something that I've also learned. Like, once the rainbow is there waiting for you, it's only there for a limited time. Then you got to go after the next thing. And it's not always chasing these big things. It's not always quitting your job and going and finding another job. It's not always chasing these big things, It's just that those moments are very temporary, like happiness. Happiness is not a state that you live in for a long time. It's just a moment that comes and goes. And what can you do throughout your day that will bring you moments of happiness so that you're able to go on to the next day? You know what I mean? So, for example, for me, the gym. Or another example for me, podcasting. I love to fucking talk, And it's not always talking about myself. It's just what impact can I make? Like, knowing that I'm perhaps able to make an impact is just so powerful for me, Like, that's so cool. Like, but I don't know if I'll ever see myself that way, but just to know that I'm trying to do that, like, that motivates me. Like, in the minutes that I podcast, sometimes before I start, I'm like, oh God, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And then before you know it, an hour's gone by, and I've just made this great, hopefully impactful hour of information that I can give to people for free. And if they want to listen to it, they can, and hopefully inspire their day and move on. But it's always a pursuit. It requires maintenance. You don't just reach somewhere. Even climbing Mount Everest, you don't reach Everest and just stay at the top. At some point, you got to come back down, Like, moments that we chase are fleeting. Like, you get to that point and then it's like, what next, and so I never want to be the person that just gets to the top and sits at the summit and be like, okay, I'm done. Like, no, like, what's the next thing? What else can I do now? With all the knowledge that I've earned, what can I build? What can I create? Who can I help? Like, where can I go? And I think that's the beauty about human life. And I've been in situations where I've had thoughts of just not being around anymore because the struggle was so deep and intense. But on the other hand of it, I'm so proud of myself that I kept going, because I realized that at the end of it, there's always a rainbow. And that rainbow doesn't last long. As we know, rainbows usually show up after the rain and there's a bit of sunshine. And, you know, with the rays of the sun, and it stays there for what 10, 15 minutes. You have everyone out there taking their photos. Well, then the rainbow disappears. It's like until next time. And if you can catch those moments in life, like, that's the beauty of it, you know? And that's why I never want to settle. And, you know, you're either coming along with me for the ride. And I think a lot of my friends look up to me that way. They're like, Noz is the one that's going to fucking do it. Like, I have one best friend, and in the amount of time that she's known me, and we've been really good friends, she's almost coming up to 2 years now, 3 years. I've done so many things, and she's kind of still in the same place. And not same place, I mean, same place physically, like she still lives at the same place. I've moved like 6 times. But I admire her for her stability, and she admires me for my I don't want to say instability, but for my adventureness. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something that you could learn from people. But yeah, sometimes I do look at people that are just stable and they don't really struggle, and they're able to do whatever they want. They're in a financially good place. They're not rich, but they're in a great place. And especially when I'm struggling, I look at those people more and I'm like, fuck, I wish I could just be happy with like just where I am. But then when I feel empowered and I'm on the right track, and God and the universe sends me these alignment signals, like, okay, you're going the right path, everything's working out for you, just keep doing this, keep doing what you're doing, good things will happen. That's even more powerful for me, you know? And in those moments, I'm like, thank God for my struggle. Thank God that I think this way. Thank God for the success that I have with my mind. Sometimes people just don't have the mindset. And thank God that I do. Thank God that I'm emotionally intelligent. Thank God that I can feel when people are upset. You know, imagine being out of tune with stuff like that. Sometimes some social cues, I can pick up on it. I just pretend that I don't see it sometimes. But like, you know, sometimes, or I think for me with the social cues, it's just that I take people really literally. So when they say something, I'm like, okay, well, you said that, so, you know, stick to your word. And then they're like, no, but you knew what I meant. Like, I didn't mean it that way. It's like, but those are the words that you use. Like, then say it in other words. Like, I try to make them be more authentic with their words, but I'm not trying to teach people this at this age. It's just, if that's what you said, then that's what you said, right? And if you didn't mean it, then you shouldn't have said those words. You should have found other words so that it actually was what you meant. It's another conversation for another day. But it's my definition of luxury and success at this point in life are completely different than just the brand names and the titles and owning things. I put a lot of value in the things that I own, and that will never change for me. And I love that. And I think that that's some of the motivation to be very financially stable and independent and have money, because I love to travel and I want to stay in nice hotels. But if I don't, it's not going to stop me from traveling, because the goal is just how to get there. And if I can get there and I can enjoy it, and then I love it, then the next time around I'll do it in a more luxurious, so to speak, way. You know what I mean? But the luxury comes from that I was able to get there and I was able to see it, because less than, like, I swear to God, 20% of this world travels and leaves their home, you know? And I am so blessed to be that percentage that leaves and goes. And even if I'm not in a fucking 5-star hotel, I'm still gonna go check out that country, because you know what, sometimes being in those 5-star hotels prevent you from seeing the culture and the city and the people. But me just being able to get there is luxury in itself. Like, I was able to get on a plane and get there. I was able to drive there. That in itself is luxury that I can't even explain. The success that comes with my mindset and how I think, that is a huge win for me. So although the definitions of luxury and success for me have changed over time, do I still struggle? Absolutely. And do I still want success and luxury by definition of things, objects? Of course. But I'm also taking pride in what I already own that's luxurious and successful. And that's my mindset and how I move through life. And that I feel like is, you can't teach, you know, you can only share it, but you can't teach it. And I'm just glad that I have it. And if that alone is the definition of luxury and success, then I will take that with the struggles that I've endured any day of the week. Right. So again, the positivity, it's just looking at things half full rather than half empty. And do I have half empty days? Fuck yes. But I mean, the being in the positive is just so much more powerful, and things align a lot more when you're powerful. I don't believe in love anymore. Is that okay? I want to relate to this so bad, but I can only relate to this when it comes to loving other human beings, because I love my child, and in that I believe in love, and I love my dog, and I've loved pets, and that's a love that I can't even, like, I cannot stop loving animals, and I cannot stop loving my child. So especially like my dog and my child. So I think, like, I feel like this question is about loving like a partner, and for that I understand, because yeah, like, it's so kind of weird that you like have to like love somebody that you don't even at times fully 1000% trust. And if you do, like, it's just it's based on hope and faith that they're like going to be loyal to you, and like there's no guarantee. So again, I might not be the best person to answer a question like this, but yeah, it's pretty fucked up to me too that like we have to put all our hope and faith into this one person. Like, who fucking knows what they're gonna do, you know? But maybe that's the beauty of love that I'm missing, because I come from a neurodivergent brain where I have to make sure that there's the output. There's input of me loving something, and the output is that like it loves me back. Like, I know that if I treat my child good, she's always gonna want to trust her mom, and she loves her mom, and she's always gonna come back. Like, and that's the thing. Like, even parents that treat their kids like shit, the kids always just yearn for that love from their parents. So maybe that's a guarantee love that I know but it's also an unconditional love. And same thing for my dogs. Like, it's an unconditional love. Like, I'm not gonna hate. Fuck, the dog could piss on in the house and I'm still gonna love it. Like, it's an unconditional love. Like, and that love I love, and I it's just so powerful. And I feel like my dog and my kid are so healthy because I love them so much. You know what I mean? I wish that I could keep them alive forever too, but like, unfortunately it doesn't work that way. But I'm just so fortunate to know that I have a love like that. And they say sometimes with grief comes this incredible feeling of loss and tears, and that's because you love so strong. And maybe that's why I prevent myself from loving people that can't guarantee that they're going to always be faithful or treat you with respect, because I have so much love to give that it will burn me so much more worse than to give that love to somebody that doesn't deserve it. At this point in my life, I'm good. I think it's not that I don't believe in love, but do I feel like you can be with one person for the rest of your life and that person's supposed to make you completely happy? I feel like, take love out of it, I feel like at this point in my life, if I find a partner, it's going to be once my daughter is a lot older, and it's going to be someone that I want to be with all the time. I'm not going to get into a relationship in my late 40s, early 50s to just want to have fucking girl weekends every weekend. I feel like that might have been the case if I had gotten married or with a partner for a long time from when I was younger. I would need my space a lot more. But if I have a relationship later on in life, it's because I want to be with that person majority of the time. Of course, not attached at the hip, but majority of the time. But I don't think it's because I don't believe in love anymore. Like, again, like, the love that I have for my child will never escape. The love that I have for my pets is beyond. Like, I'm obsessed with them. Like, that's all I need in life to survive, that kind of love. Like, I don't even care if I get it back from them. Like, I just want to give it to them because that's the love that I have in my heart for them. But I don't think it's because I don't believe in love anymore. And I don't think that for this person, again, I'm assuming that it's love for another human being. I don't think that it's that you don't believe in love anymore, because there's got to be something in your life that you love. Your friends, your family, that's love. Your pets, that's love. Love for a sport, your job, that's love. But a romantic kind of love, I think that as we get older, we get a little bit more jaded and a bit more picky. And the pickiness comes from boundaries, and that's okay. we're allowed to have boundaries. Again, I'm the type of person that's guilty until proven innocent. I'm not just going to jump into things like, yeah, like catch me at the bottom. I'm going to trust that this fucking stranger that I don't know is going to catch me at the bottom. No, we're going to have some incidents where it plays out. And then I know, okay, if I'm ever, I get to know this person very well. Okay, if I'm ever in trouble, this is the person that I know is going to be there to help me or save me. You know what I mean? So like trust has to be earned, I think. And then I think once you learn to trust someone and that you can trust them and they can trust you back, I think that's where the love comes in. It just changes as we get older. But I don't think that we stop 100% believing in love. I think when it comes to like a romantic love, yeah, like it's like I would rather not pour my heart and soul into something that I can't guarantee loving me back. But I know that we all love things and it might not be a romantic love, like, but we still love things. So do I believe in love? Of course. But a romantic love might just take a little bit more time to come to fruition because of all the experiences that we've been through, and because loving another human being doesn't always guarantee that they're going to love us back. I think that's the part that kind of makes us kind of love from a distance, you know, rather than like go full on, full force and be in it, right? And some people love. Like they're just constantly like, I can't wait to fall in love again. It's like, oh geez, like gag me. Like, whoop, you know, those are the people that I just cannot handle. But I think it's a bit, not that I don't believe, I get what they're trying to say, but I don't believe in love anymore. But because it's so general, like just think about all the things that you do love. Like, again, pets, kids, family, friends, moments in life. Like there's things that have happened that you love so much. But romantically, I understand. And I just think that it's okay to feel like you might not love anymore. That just means that you have more self-respect for yourself, more boundaries, and that you're going to wait for the right person to come along rather than just loving anything that walks right in front of you. So that in itself is a win. So just look at it that way. Look at it more on a self-respecting note rather than an absolute, like, oh, it's over for me. I'm never going to love again. I don't believe in it, you know? So yeah. Oh, I'm going to end it on this one. This is a really good one, and I'm still trying to figure this one out. It says, am I too intimidating to men? So again, speaking for myself, I know that I am. I know that I'm in my masculine a lot because I have to be. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm not sexy or that like I don't try to be. It's just that I don't care to get the attention of men by being sexy. Like, fuck you. I don't need you to think that I'm sexy. Like, I will be sexy for the person that I want to be sexy for. But in the meantime, I have to protect my femininity by being in my masculine, because men in this day and age just want to walk all over women and use them and abuse them. And fuck you if I let that happen to me again. Okay? Not that I don't believe in love, but I believe in protecting myself until it's the right one. I believe in closing myself off and not allowing everyone access to me, because also I'm a big energy believer. And if you just give your energy away, like that, it's just, you become depleted, you know? And like, you have to have energy left for yourself and to love yourself. And I think because I'm so sure of myself that way, that it can be intimidating for men, because I have yet to meet a man who will match me on my level or even a little bit more than me to be like, okay, you need to calm down. I got you. Like, just relax. I'm here for you. I think that when times get tough, the men that I've attracted generally or been around, they kind of disappear. Or they get too scared and they're like, well, she doesn't need me. I don't need a man. I want a man, but I don't need a fucking man. I can do everything on my own, and I have for 41 fucking years. So if I want to be with someone, it's because I want them, but I have yet to meet someone that wants that energy of being wanted. Men want to be with people that need them. I haven't met someone that's secure enough to be with someone who just wants them. And yeah, I can fucking outwork a guy at the gym. I have so many guys coming up to me in the gym, chatting with me. Oh, fuck, you get so into the zone, man. Like, they don't try to come hit on me when I'm working out, because they can see that I'm like in my fucking zone. Like, don't fuck with me. But then I see a lot of other girls at the gym get hit on. And sometimes when I was a lot younger, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, am I not pretty enough? But it's like, no, like, I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. And that in itself intimidates men. Because I see a lot of the men go up to, and I'm not giving compliments. That's different. I get compliments all the time. But they're not trying to hit on me. But the men that will go hit on girls are the ones that are usually the more quiet ones, that not are like the big bodybuilders. And, you know, because those girls can be intimidating, even to me as a girl, you know. But of course you can be too intimidating for men. And it's not a problem. That just means that they're too weak to be with someone as strong as you. I need a man that's secure enough to know that I'm the fucking mouth. And if I need my man to step in, he's going to be standing right fucking behind me. But I'm always going to be the mouth. I'm always going to be the controlling one. And when he needs to, he has enough power to put me in my place and be like, sit down, I fucking got this, and turn around and be like, okay, yo, we need to fucking settle this here. But I cannot have someone that's going to degrade me, push me to the side, not allow me to have my moments and to flourish into this entrepreneur that I'm working so hard to be. If that is too much for you, and you don't want to fucking support me and you want me to be at home and to cook, which I will do. But if we can't hire a chef for the majority of the time because I'm fucking doing my thing and that pisses you off, then I'm not the one for you. And trust me, I've been doing fine for 41 fucking years. I'll be okay. Right? Don't ever feel... I don't even think about the man in the situation. What man? There's no man. But I don't think about men in this situation. I think about myself first, and the right man will come along. And that's why it ties into, again, all these questions always tie in together. I'm okay with waiting. I'll wait until the right one comes along, because when the right one comes along, he will match my energy and he won't be intimidated by my energy. He'll be supportive of it. Likewise, I'll be supportive of his, and we'll be a great couple. We'll be a power couple. With that being said, you guys, I think that's all we have time for. That was about 5 pursuer questions. Thank you so much for sending in your questions, guys. Don't forget to go subscribe, like, share, comment. I do all the things for my podcast, please. It really helps. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere that you can get your podcast. Share it with your friends. I would love that. Check the show notes. It has all the places that you can DM me in my socials, plus my website. Don't forget to check out the website, www.thepursuitofhappinessnoz.com. I have a lot more stuff that I post on there. But send me your questions if you have any. Find me on my socials. DM me there. Hope you guys have a fabulous Easter weekend. Remember, he has risen, or he is risen. God, I'm so sorry, God. But I'm going to church tomorrow with my daughter. We are here in Mexico. It's a long weekend here for all of us here. So we're just enjoying the time that we have together. Enjoy it with your families. Have a great turkey dinner if that's what you guys are doing. And we will be back next week with all our Bravo show recaps. Have a wonderful Easter.